Okay, ladies and gents, this is a bonus bit for Final Cut. It's to show you one other type of edit that may be possible. Let's say, for example, you were doing a documentary. You were filming somebody downtown San Diego, and you were doing a documentary about homeless. And the person that was homeless that you interviewed started cussing, said some dirty words, and you're not going to stop them and go, hey, you can't cuss. This is a student film. You're going to end up having to bleep it out later. So that edit of bleeping, how do we get it? How does it happen? How do we get the bleeps, and how do we bleep over what he says? Because, if I had Madeline, if Madeline and I were working on a project and Madeline's one of my actors and she ad libs and starts getting silly and she goes, that mother effer, and she says the F word. And, and I could stop Madeline and I could stop the recording and go, Madeline, chill out. Can't cuss. It's not going to do good for our film. Although a bleep would be funny, maybe, right? Maybe one time. But you do that joke a few times. You keep bleeping throughout your film and the joke gets old. So you guys get where I'm going with this. Now, recognize you can't go on vacation to the Mediterranean in France and document your trip and film topless girls on the beach and be like, oh, I'll just bring that into the class and blur over the topless part. Can't do that. and unfortunately, one student did that about 10 years ago, and it was unknowing to her. She's like, oh, I didn't see those girls off in the distance. I'm like, oh, you just can't bring that material into our classroom, unfortunately. But a cuss word, yes, you can. But can you export that out in your final project? No. So we're going to show you how to edit that piece. Here we go. So first of all, I need to get a weird bleep noise. And this is a good time to show you guys how to rip stuff from YouTube. If you haven't done this before, this is cool. You're going to dig this. All right, here we go. So I am going to share screen with Safari. And we're going to go on to Safari and go to YouTube. Now, this is a whole step-by-step process. I'll have this recorded. I'm recording what we're doing right now, and I'll have it posted up on our page in case you forget. But here's the deal. So I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'll type into the search, I want a censor bleep sound effect. So check this out. It looks like a 15-second beep. Let's check it. Couple different beeps. Will that work? Yeah, I'll grab it. Why not? Okay, so here's how I grab it. I'm going to grab the URL address at the top, right-click on it, and copy it. Step 1. Step 2. I'm going to go to y2mate.com. You're going to want to write this down. This is really cool. It's a ripper. y2mate.com. Right there. So step 3 is I'm going to paste that URL address right here. It's going to give me a download. I'll click the download button. Boom. A pop-up window pops up. Close it. Next step, I'm going to hit the download MP4 button right here. Another pop-up window pops up. Close it. I'm going to check my downloads folder. I will go to, let's share screen. I got to check my share screen. Here we go. I'll go to my downloads folder. Hayden Lai, can you see my downloads folder? Okay. Yes. So here's my downloads folder. I've already ripped some stuff from y2mate.com. And where is it? Where's the beep, beep, beep? There it is. I downloaded it right there. So I'm going to grab that and bring that into Final Cut, because now I got the audio. Here we go. So here's the Final Cut Pro piece. Let's see if I can do this fairly quick. I'm gonna pretend that Rob cusses, and let's zoom into it. And every time Rob says, in fact, I'm going to mute the sound score so you can really hear it well. In fact, I'll delete that out of there. And so every time Rob says moving, the word moving. So Rob says moving, we're going to pretend he says the F word. Here we go.
If you look at the Lindy Hop, you'll see a couple just moving. They're constantly moving. They're always on the go.
So every time he says moving, he says F word. Here we go. I'm going to beep that and pretend that's the F-bomb, and I'm going to put in that censor beep. So first off, let's right-click and import in that censor beep from my downloads folder. So there's my censor beep right there. I'm going to import that in. All right. And let's listen to where he says moving, and I'm going to cut the audio. I'm going to do this fairly quickly. Here we go.
You see a couple just moving.
So that little lump right there is the moving part. So I'm going to grab my cutting tool and cut front and back of where he says moving.
They're constantly moving.
So there's the other moving. Boom. Cut. Cut. So now I'm going to lower down the audio of where he says moving and listen back.
A couple just, they're constant. They're always on the.
So watch what happens when I use the beep. So we're going to cut that beep down. You know what? The audio beep. In fact, let's grab a beep. I've got another one. Okay. So let's pretend that the censor beep. Where is it? I know I just downloaded it. There it is. Okay, so let's pretend that this beep, I'm going to take a little cut of it. Drag it on down. Fill it. Copy it. Paste it. Let's listen back.
If you look at the Lindy Hop, you'll see a couple just, they're constant. They're always on the go.
So that's a bleep. That's bleeping out a cuss word. You could even black box over his mouth or blur over his mouth by adding a filter. And the filter could be a gauzation blur. You could go to blurs and put the gauzation blur right over his mouth. And so you could blur his mouth so you can't read his lips. Or I can even black box it. So that's the way to edit over and beep over or cut in cuss words if it happens. Very easy to do. Any questions on that bit? And that is a bit. And that concludes our Final Cut tutorial.